And as you find your way to your seat, you know, the ritual of beginning your practice in a seated posture is, you can begin your practice any way you want, but the ritual that we cultivate of how to begin really does set a tone for training the mind and body that now it is time for our practice. Now it is time for the refuge of going within. So as you find a comfortable seat, close your eyes and start to become aware of what's happening in the inner body. Feel into the muscles of your face and notice if there's tension that needs to be released in any way. Find the openness across the collarbones and a sense of ease across the base of the skull. And as you start to train your body to rest within, let the spaciousness that kind of is freed up by resting, relaxing, let this freedom give way and space for the breath. See if you can keep your mouth closed if possible, unless you're very congested, and let the training begin of breathing through the nose as much as possible. So much goodness happens when we breathe through the nose versus the mouth. A lot of our attention tends to be toward the inhale, so make sure you're balancing your attention toward the exhale as well. And can you marvel at this sacred rhythm of breathing that accompanies us? It is our beat. Just that our heartbeat and our breath beat are really our rhythms that we most live by. Train yourself to slow the breath down, observe. As you start to be a little more settled and present, start asking yourself the question, you know, what does my body need from my practice today? What does my mind need? And if there's anything specific that's coming, make sure you follow. Place your palms together at your heart and see if you can connect the dots, you know, the mind, the heart, the hands, the center of thinking, feeling, and doing. Bring them into harmony, presence with each other. Can you offer, you know, may whatever my hands do today be in service to the world. Whatever my heart feels today, can I follow the truth? Whatever my mind thinks today, can I try my best to offer positivity, optimism, or whatever? These are just the words that are coming to me. Maybe there's something different coming to you. Let's release the hands. Find your way, come onto your back. All right, so now we begin to move our bodies. Let's enjoy. Stretch your arms. Once you get down there, stretch your arms overhead. Okay.
and enjoy. All right, so just enjoy. Feel a sense of reaching into your limbs. Reach the left side, reach the right side. Deep breaths. And then bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. And check in. How's your back today? Let's circle the knees and moving one direction. Moving another direction. Then let's open up the knees and bring them back in. Just feel a sense of finding the range of motion that's available in your hip joints today. And then when you bring your knees apart from each other, experiment, keep them out there and experiment a little bit by drawing your knees closer to your armpits and then further away, and just kind of feel into that outer reaches of range of motion of your hip joints. Notice what's there. And then bring your knees back in and grab onto your feet for some happy baby. Now be very gentle. It's a very big pose actually to do happy baby. So let it be very gentle this early in the practice, and feel free to rock a little bit from side to side, just loosening up the back. We're going to, if your body is able, stretch your left leg straight, and you can change where you're holding. You can grab onto your leg instead of your foot. Keep the right knee bent. You can tip just a little bit to the left. And then come back and open up to the right. So straighten the right leg a little bit more, maybe all the way. Spine stays long. You can lean a little bit over to the right side, just opening up the backs of the legs a little bit. And then one more time each side, over to the left. Breathing deeply. And then over to the right. And you may not get very far, maybe your knees are very bent, and that's okay. Just be where you are. And then come back to center. Open up your legs. Stretch your body out like a star. Wiggle your fingers and your toes and touch the edges of your space, where you take up space. And then draw the knees in and curl to a little ball around the back. Once more, open your body out. Exhale. Draw the body in. Put your head down, keep your knees up, bring your arms straight out to the side. Now, very, very small movements here. We're just going to drop our knees over to the left. So maybe, just a few inches. We're not trying to do a full twist, just trying to wake up the core of your body a little bit, back to center, and knees come over to the right. Keep the ankle bones together, the knees together. And just feel into waking up the obliques of the body. How's your breath? Do you hold your breath when you do this? Let's go to the left again. Stay inside your breath. Start to feel that you're stabilizing yourself with your core. Back up and go over to the right. How's your neck? Are you holding tension in your arms, your head? See if you can really concentrate the effort in the core of your body. One more time. Knees over to the left, and concentrate the effort in the center of your body. Let everything rest. Back to center, over to the other side, to the right. All right, and then back to center. Right knee into your chest, left leg comes long on the floor. Feel free to move your feet around. Okay, roll around in your ankles, breathing deep. And then switch sides, left knee in, right leg comes long on the floor. Deep breaths here. All right, now we're going to do this action with a little bit more speed. So right knee in, then left knee in. So we're just, once again, waking up some different core muscles here. Feel your head rest on the ground. Start to feel a little bit, we're just going left and then right and then left And then right, so pick up the pace to be about that speed. Find your breath. Just revving up the core engines a little bit. And then relax. Put your feet down onto the ground. Feel the ground, four corners of your feet. We're going to roll through some bridges. Inhale, pelvis comes up, arms up overhead. Ground the four corners of your feet. And then exhale and lower your legs back down. Twice more. Inhale, pelvis, arms up overhead. Feel the four corners of your feet. And then exhale and lower your body down. All right, one more time. Lift the pelvis. How's your breath? And then exhale and lower your body down. Starfish out, a big spread eagle. Exhale, knees into your chest. Come rolling onto your side and come onto your hands and your knees. All right, so let's start moving through some cat-cows. All right, so a rounded spine, an arched spine. Take notice how your vertebrae are feeling today. Enjoy the fullness of range of motion that you have available right this moment. Now we're going to just move around any way you want, so feel into some different types of movement patterns. And then we're going to do very specific movement patterns. So come into a flat back. Imagine that your torso from crown to tail is in a paper towel tube. You know, you're in a little cylinder. And we're going to move the ribs over to the left and then down toward the ground and then over to the right and then up toward the sky. So you want to touch the inner rim of the tube like a circle. Okay, so we're moving the rib cage here. Finding any range of motion that's available. We're going to go the other direction in a moment. Notice your breath. And then we're going to switch sides. Come to a flat back, going over to the left, down to the ground, over to the right, and up. So just find, oops, I think we went the other way. I'm sometimes get backwards because I'm doing the reverse of what you're doing. So just make sure you're going the other direction. Okay. So enjoy the way your rib cage feels, how it connects to the vertebrae. We're almost off the hands and feet, so feel free to come onto your fists if you need a little break. Now we're going to do some circles with our tail. So imagine you have a paintbrush that's sticking toward the wall behind you off of your tailbone. We're going to draw a circle on the wall behind you. So let the pelvis do a big, broad circle. It doesn't matter which direction we're going. We're going to go both. So just go, notice which way you naturally went. We all have habituated patterns in the body. And then change directions and move the spine the other way, or move the pelvis the other way. So we're drawing a big circle with the paintbrush on the wall behind you, not on the ground, but on the wall behind you. How's your breath? All right, and then stretch back towards child's pose when you're ready and walk those arms out in front of you into your fingertips far. Take a breather into your ribs. So notice what it feels like to open your shoulders and your rib cage up. Walk the hands over to one side of the mat, opening up one side of the torso. Now we're going to work a little bit with the obliques today. So notice, the obliques, they side bend you and rotate you. And of course, they're on the sides of your body. So just see if you can feel into a little openness from the ribs to the pelvis. Over to the other side. Drop some weight down into the pelvis, open the rib cage, breathe into the rib cage. And then come back to center. Find your way onto all fours. Inhale, lift your left arm up to the sky. Pause here for a moment. Just notice what's creating this movement in your torso. Breathe here. And then as you're ready, find the twist. Drop your shoulder down. Enjoy. Notice what's available here. What are your hips doing? Are they pushing off to the side? Can you take them back? Can you relax your neck? Breathe into the shoulder blade, into the rib cage. Feel where the ribs touch the spine. And now climb a little bit out of there. Drop hips back towards child's pose. Face the ground. So our arm is still underneath there, but not as much. So our collarbones are broadening. Our chest is facing the floor. Open up the back side of the shoulder. Hips down. And then inhale, reach that arm all the way up. Hand comes down, change sides. Lift the right arm, hang out there for just a moment. Notice the torso. And then as you're ready, drop that shoulder down. Breathing well. Feel into the way the breath is moving. Keep the neck as relaxed as possible. Notice if your hips shift off to the side, see if you can keep them somewhat neutral. And then when you come out of it, drop your hips back, face the floor with your chest, move your arm a little bit out of that twist and just open up the back side of the shoulder. Now, we tend to forget about the back side of our shoulders. A lot of times we focus on opening the chest, the front of the shoulders. Enjoy this. And inhale, reach that arm all the way back up. Hand down, come to dog pose. Now, enjoy the fact that you're off the ground with your knees, that we have a chance to walk our dog, to pedal our feet, to open up the backs of the legs. See if you can feel into the way your body is. You can bend the knee, you can straighten the knee, whatever is nice. Deep breaths here. Drop some energy down into the earth. Rise out of the pelvis. Relax your neck. So get your bearings. Does it feel good to be here? Are you able to yield? Can you feel the roots? Can you feel the rise? Can you feel the inversion and the melting? What is your breath feeling like? So give yourself an opportunity to dive into the sensations of your body and mind. And walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Fold. And you can bend your knees as much as you want. Halfway lift when you're ready. Open up the bottom of your feet. So lift your toes. Spread out the bones of your feet. Lift the femur bones up, 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 and back. And when you're ready, melt again, soft knees. Drop down a little bit, lift your chest, and come up to stand. If you get dizzy, take your time. Give yourself time to organize a standing posture instead of head below the heart. It takes a little time sometimes for that equilibrium to come. Open up the chest, lean back. All right, so every time you lift like this in your yoga practice, give your heart to the day. So it's an opportunity to exalt the heart, to lift it open. Okay, let's cactus open the arms. Feel the chest broaden. And then reach the arms back up one more time. What are you giving your heart to? All right, so open it, keep breathing. And then relax. Shake out your hands. Okay, interlace your hands behind your back. Squeeze the shoulder blades, bend your knees, arms come away from the spine. Let the neck dangle. Okay. And then relax the arms. Halfway lift. Spine gets longer, sit bones high, stretch the backs of the knees, the soles of the feet. Exhale and melt again. Step your right foot forward, left foot back, come into a lunge. enjoy every bit of your practice. So when you open up a new place and you find a new pathway, revel in it. Just see if you can feel how nice it is to feel your body. Let's bend and straighten the front knee. Give your hamstring a moment to find its way into some openness, as well as the hip flexor on your back leg. Hip flexor is plural, and you have more than one. All right, and then as you're ready, ground yourself into a lunge. Rise up when you feel ready to do so. Arms go anywhere you want. Open up. Again, the heart lifts to the day. See if you can not collapse and sink. Find the rising tide of the body and the rooting of your legs. When you're ready, twist to this side. So we're moving to the left, or I'm sorry, to the right. See if you can drop the shoulders. You can always put your hands on your hips for this. Open up the hip flexor of that back leg. Try not to compress into the lumbar spine. You're using your core. And then rise up again. Arms to the sky, hands down, back foot comes forward. Fold, relax your neck. Enjoy some symmetry. Halfway lift, the spine grows. Feel good in the body. Enjoy the space. Melt on your exhale. Step your right foot back and come into a lunge. All right, enjoy every bit. Enjoy every bit of your practice. Begin to straighten and bend. Find your breath. Try not to go anywhere without it. It's the leader. The breath leads the mind. The breath leads the body. If we can just learn to follow, so much goodness happens. Just follow your breath. So ground yourself when you're ready. Feel your glutes kick in on that front leg. So press your foot into the earth so you have that grounding, and then rise up when you're ready. Where you can take your legs wider apart. You can take your arms anywhere you want. So find the ability to lift the heart again without compression. So we don't want to sink. Use your legs. When you're ready, use your core. Turn things on. Arms come out or hands stay onto the hips as you twist to the left. Hug to the inner thigh, hug the inner thighs to the midline. Stay grounded, especially through your front foot. And then rise back up, lifting the arms up. Hands come down, dog pose. Take that front foot back. Round four corners, feet, hands. Feel into the way your body makes contact with the floor, and then use that contact to push off and reach through the body. Follow your breath. Come forward on your next inhale. Feel the planks start to integrate a lot of strength in your body. Notice if you hunker your shoulders up toward your ears, move them down if you can. Inner thighs a little lifting to the sky. Let's turn our belly to the left. And then back to center. Turn your belly to the right. The chest, the eyes are facing the ground. One more time each side. Start to turn on the center of the body. Back to center. Breathe your way over to the other side. Back to center, find the ground. You can put your knees down first if you want. Move the shoulder blades a little bit here. As you're ready, lift up to a cobra on your in-breath. And then exhale and melt. And one more time, shoulders back. Rise up, open the chest. Exhale and release. Let's do it once more. Feel into the beauty of a back bend. Come up onto all fours. Move the spine about. Let things become more free. And then find your way to dog pose. Open the breath. Walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Bend your knees and rise all the way up.
And then relax and stand in Tadasana. So just notice, we've touched into a lot of places in the body. Where have we not touched yet? So just feel. And we're going to take our feet outside to the long edge of our mat and turn our toes in and come down into a goddess. I feel like we haven't quite touched our hips enough yet, so we're going to get in here. So you put your hands on your knees for a moment. Try not to do this. Try not to let your shoulders creep up and lock toward your ears. Be a little bit more aware of your upper body and just rocking, coming to your left, coming to your right foot, and then ground yourself. Four corners of your feet are moving into the earth. Start to lift your chest. Find your breath. Lift your arms up. Ground yourself. Interlace your fingers behind your head. A little tip over to the side. And then come back up. And remember, your core is doing this a little. So we're not just folding over. We're using our core. Come back. Hand on your knee over to the side. And then hand onto your other knee, over to the side. Okay, stand up, find your breath, turn your right foot out, triangle pose. Find the open heart. I like to use a block with triangle pose. Maybe you like to put your hand on your leg. All right, so the shoulders are away from the ears, the chest broadens, reach into space, stay rooted through your back heel. Now, if it's comfortable, stretch your arm overhead. So this is a little bit of an unusual variation. Stay rooted in your back heel. And just open up the side body a bit. And then come back up and change the direction of that side stretch. Open things up here. And then find your way into Parsva Konasana. Stretch open through your sides. So it's a little different in our side body now than in triangle pose, but we're still grounding through the back heel and feeling that extension through both sides of our ribs. Try not to just lean down. We're light on that leg. Press both feet firmly into the ground so you can feel your hips. Slowly let the arm come down to the ground. And then we're going to come rising back up. Turn your feet over to the other side. Okay, let's start in triangle pose on this side. So we're tipping the pelvis, our legs stay straight. Root the feet. Feel that sense of length in the body. Shoulders are away from the ears. Round through the bottom of your feet as much as you can. Feel into there. As you stay rooted in your back foot, perhaps try taking your upper arm, the right arm, over your head. And this may not be available. That might be too much. So just go where you go. Try not to lean. Stay rooted in both feet. Feel the root to rise. Come back. Out of our triangle pose, reverse your triangle pose. Feel the other side body open up. And then bend your knee and come into Parsva Konasana. Open up through the chest, round through your legs. So we're rooting four corners of both feet. Feel the work in the hip muscles. Activate your legs. Get them strong. Keep the neck as easy and soft as you can. The shoulders move down away from the ears. Come home into this pose. Drop your awareness into your full body. Remember to follow the breath. All right, so you ready? Let's find our way back out. Okay, straight legs.
come forward with your hands on the ground. You can always put your hands on blocks if you need, but dog pose arms. So like a very wide-legged dog pose. Stretch your thighs back. Feel the extension through your spine. And then heel toe your feet in a little bit. We'll come to a squat again. So this time a little closer squat instead of a goddess squat. Hips are opening. You can drop your hips to be in line with your knees. Maybe your forearms come on the inside of your knees. Maybe your elbows on top. Just feel into the squat. Drop some weight into the four corners of your feet. Move your big toes into the earth. Okay, and then come all the way up to stand again. Reaching the arms to the sky. Back foot, or not back foot, but bring your 2 feet together. All right, let's pause here for a moment. Standing in Shavasana. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale and float forward. Let your back relax. Halfway lift, get longer. Exhale and melt. Step your left foot back. Have 2 blocks handy. So we're shortening up our stance so we're not in a super long lunge. Extend through the spine. So a little movement different now. We're not externally rotating, we're internally rotating our legs. So inner thighs roll back. Feel the reach of your front leg. So the right femur bone, lift it up into the hip sockets and then down within the hip socket. So we're not hiking the hip up. Extend through the spine here. Right, and then rise up. Bring the hands onto the hips. Open up through your chest, maybe a little bit of the back bend. Okay, and then as you're ready, one hand. So we're going to lift up through the left arm, reaching through your spine. Bring your body forward and take that left hand down onto a block. You can have 2 blocks too if you want, one underneath the other. Start to twist open into revolved triangle pose. So now remember, our core is what's doing this. So start to engage the obliques, ground through your feet, move the shoulders away from the ears. You can feel the outer hip open, but we're still inner spiraling the thighs with nice wide sit bones. Ground through the feet, push down and rise out. How's your breath? Can you free up your neck a little bit? And then melt. And bring your back foot forward. Come into Uttanasana. And then we're going to squat. 2 feet are parallel, facing forward, hip width apart. Drop your hips, hands on the outer knees. Push your hands into your knees into your hands. Pull your feet apart on the mat. Find the breath. And then relax and melt. Rise up when you're ready. Taking your left foot forward and your right foot back. Parsvottanasana legs. So our stance is shorter, but you can always take your stance wider. So you can take your left foot out to the left more if you need that. Come down and bring your hands onto the blocks. Try not to bear all your weight down. We're being light, we're using our legs. So ground into the feet. Find your breath. The hips are square. Inner spiral of the thighs, wide sit bones. As you reach your hip back, drop your hip down. So the left hip is reaching back and a little bit down. Stay grounded through the left big toe. Feel the extension of your spine and the looseness in your neck. Try not to take unnecessary tension. And then push off your feet. Rise up. Bring the arms, 2 of them up. And then keep your left arm on your left hand on your left hip. Keep the right arm reaching and bring it forward. Now you could have maybe 2 blocks, 1 block, whatever you need underneath your hand. Organize your legs before you twist. So inner spiral thighs, stay rooted in that front big toe, reach the hip back. Once you have your legs organized, lengthen your spine and then twist. You're using your breath and your obliques to do the twisting. So we're not just randomly lifting up, we're going with the rhythm of our exhales. Keep moving the hip down and back. Stay grounded through the big toe. Try not to collapse into the inner thighs. The spine stays long, the shoulders away from the ears. Follow your breath. Fill it up, empty it out. Go ahead and release and find your way back to dog pose. Hands on the ground, feet on the ground. Step your way back to the fullness of your mat. All right, so now once you get here, isometrically drag your feet apart on the mat. See if you can bounce across your pelvis a little bit with that effort. And then neutralize, soften, and come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady. Shoulders away from the ears. And then let's lower ourselves down to the ground. Shoulders roll. Take a deep breath. Cobra pose or any other back bend. And then melt. Find your way down. Pause here for a moment. Then come up onto your knees when you're ready. Move your spine about. And find child's pose just for breath and do this as a check-in. How is my back feeling from using my obliques and twisting and side bending? How is my back responding? Do I need to do less? Can I do more? You know, where am I at? And then find your way up to dog pose. This time take your feet really wide on the mat. Feel the breath travel all the way to the pelvis, low belly. And then bring your feet back to a neutral place. Lift your right leg up in the air, square hips, deep breath. Exhale, we're going to bring our knee not to our chest, but to the outside of our right elbow. Right knee to right elbow, plank pose. Inhale, bring it on back. Place that foot down. Keep breathing well. Change sides. Left leg lifts. Find your breath. Next time you exhale, bring the left knee to the left elbow. Chest leaning or moving forward. Bring it on back. Place your foot down and come onto your knees. So I'm going to give you two options. Shake out your wrists for a moment. We're going to do some mountain climbers, which means, you know, we kind of repeat just what we did, but over and over. So let me show you. You can be in a plank and lift your right knee, and then lift your left knee, and then lift your right knee. Or if your wrists are unhappy or you feel like your shoulders or your core can't stabilize that, you can come onto all fours, or you can put your forearms on blocks. Okay, so there's lots of ways. If you're on all fours, you stretch one leg out and you bring that knee up to the armpit, and then knee comes down. Stretch the other leg out, knee up to the armpit, and bring the knee down. So it doesn't matter which variation you're choosing to do, choose a pathway. Both bring a lot of challenge into organizing the movement of your obliques and getting your hips open. So just find what's available. I'm going to do the one on the knees just because that seems interesting to me right now. So whatever you're doing, make sure you're exhaling as you bring your knee up, and then inhaling as you bring it back. And when you're ready to be done, come back to rest in child's pose. Settle your hips toward your heels. Decide whether you want your knees close or knees far, or however you want to be. We're going to roll over onto our back. Bring your knees to your chest and rock a moment. All right, so we're going to do 2 different variations for our obliques here, some core work. The first one, take your arms straight out to your sides. Now, I'll show you 2 different variations of this as well. We did a bit of this in the beginning, so you can keep your knees bent, and you may only go a few inches over. What I want you to focus on, whether you're doing this with your legs straight in the air, and oh, I'm running out of room. You can bring your feet all the way to your hand or not. You can keep your knees bent, and you can bring your knees to your elbow and then the other elbow. So we're just twisting, whichever variation works best for your back. But know that you do not have to go all the way to your hands or your elbows. This pose can be 2 inches off midline. So you get to decide where you want to be. When you do this, exhale on the way down and inhale on the way up, and see if you can let your belly kind of support. So try to keep your navel, your belly button, pointing straight up toward the sky, or at the very least your chest staying point straight up toward the sky as you start to move. So we're resisting the twist with a counter twist. Even if your belly's turning, obviously your belly's going to turn if you go very deep in this pose, but we want to have that sense that we're staying oriented to straight up toward the sky at the same time. So make sure you're breathing, whatever choice you're making. Notice, try not to go too far. If your back needs more support, take it. The center of our body is doing the majority of the work now. Coordinate with your breath. All right, make sure you do it. If you started on the right, finish on the left. If you started on the left, finish on the right. Pause for a moment. We're going to do a bridge pose in between. So put your feet down onto the ground, take a breath, and lift your pelvis up. Move on to the tops of the shoulders, ground into the 4 corners of your feet. Breathing well. Open up the breath. Belt down, feel the symmetry. Now you might say, oh, you know what, that's enough for me right now. And you might choose to go a different path. If you have a little bit more to work with in your core, we're going to do the second set of postures. So interlace your fingers behind your head like classic old school sit-ups, but we're not doing classic old school sit-ups. We're going to lift our legs either straight or knees can stay bent, which is a little easier on the back. So you decide the pathway that's best for you. You're going to get to work your core regardless, so protect your back. All right, so we're going to, if your legs are straight, you're going to drop your right leg, lift your right chest toward your left knee. We're not leading with the elbow, and then bring that leg back up and your shoulder back down and switch sides. Left leg lowers not all the way to the floor. Lift your chest toward your right knee and then come back. If you're doing this with bent knees, that's awesome too. And how you do this is you just keep the left knee bent, you straighten the right leg, hovering it off the floor, lift right chest toward the left knee and come back. So it doesn't matter the pathway that you're taking. Try to coordinate your breathing. Try to melt your head in the pillow of your hands and try to get the sense that it's not your elbows that are doing the work. I mean, your elbows will move obviously, but a lot of times when we come from our elbows, we just crank on our neck. Move from your chest. Try to take your nipple toward the opposite knee instead of your elbow toward the opposite knee. Okay, so whichever variation you're doing, breathing as you go. Rest your head in the pillow of your hands. And then rest, put your feet down onto the ground. Pause for a moment. One more bridge pose. You can always choose to do this passively if you want to put a block underneath your pelvis. Climb up. Feel the stabilization across your SI joints. Big belly breaths. Relax your pelvis down. Soles of the feet together. A little moment of Supta Baddha Konasana. Grab your 2 blocks to put under your thighs if you need them. All right, allow yourself to rest within symmetry. So the soles of the feet are together. The knees are falling out to the side. And like I said, if you want some support, grab 1 block underneath each outer hip. Allow your spine to rest on the floor. Enjoy, especially when we've done things that kind of crunch our core. Enjoy, there's a lot of passivity in this pose. There's not any deep stretching, but there is deep breathing. So see what it feels like to let your body rest within vulnerability and openness. And enjoy the symmetry. Let's go ahead and straighten our legs now. Arms overhead. Let's inch our feet over to the left and inch your shoulders over to the left and create a little letter C. Not so much. So, we're just trying to open up one side of the ribs. We're not trying to challenge our spine too much. So just enjoy the open space. And then come back to neutral. Inch the legs over to the right. Inch the shoulders over to the right. Open up. Deep breaths. All right. Come back to center and bring the knees to the chest. Go ahead and rock a little bit here. Breathing well. And then return where we began, happy baby pose. Feel free to rock a little bit from side to side. Drop some weight into the hands on the feet, so move your feet downward. And at the same time, maybe a little energy of moving your feet into your hands. All right, relax your feet down. So if rocking plow, where we just kind of roll up, and then roll over with our feet over our head. If that feels nice, this is not nice for everybody. Some people's backs, this is just not good for your spine, but if it is, enjoy a little bit of rocking plow. If it's not, choose a different pose. You can always kind of hang out. We're not fully prepared for Halasana. We don't have blankets underneath us. But if you want to bend your knees and let them rest on your forehead. And then relax back onto your back, feet on the floor. Take a breath. Let's do reverse pigeon. Right foot on left knee. Grab onto your left shin or left hamstring. And just open. You can always choose a thigh over thigh hip stretch instead. So, you do what feels best in your body. Melt the skull. Find the weight of your spine on the ground. Wide sit bones. Active foot on your knee. How's the breath? Are you still letting it guide you? And then between sides, stretch out to a star, wiggle your fingers and your toes. And then when you're ready, change directions. Left foot on right knee, reach back to grab the right hamstring or the right shin, whatever feels good. We're staying free in our neck and shoulders, so the weight of the head is dropping. Feel free to have a little bit of mobility in this pose. Stretch through the big toe and the inner heel. Find the way. And notice if your pelvis or back are doing weird things. See if you can stay in a neutral place. All right, and then one more star. Moving your body out. Exhale, knees into your chest. Head down. And then find your way into Shavasana. If there's anything else your body needs, take it. If you want to have your legs higher, on bolsters, pillows, or a chair, take any variation of Shavasana that works for your body. Discover your breathing. So we're moving through the inhales. We're relaxing on the exhales. So take the journey into the depth of Shavasana. Allow your skull to feel restful. All the muscles around your face, easy and soft. Relax the shoulders, relax the spine. Feel the heaviness of your limbs, the ease of your breathing.
Let's begin to deepen our breath again. Allow yourself the very gentle, slow process of coming out of Shavasana. Try to bring some of the energy with you so it's not an abrupt loss of this inner space. Gather it up and come onto your side as you're ready. Come up to sit when your body is ready, when your mind is ready. And just notice the gifts of your practice. Offer your presence outward to another. Send your love and care. Namaste. Blessings on the day.